So, our first review of the day is going to be for Will Smith's Emancipation. This is Will Smith's first movie post-slap. You have it here. And it's funny, I remember I saw something when this movie was about to come out. Somebody said, like, in order to Will Smith to get back in favor with people, he had to play a slave. White people was like, hey, in order to get back in Hollywood, you got to play a slave right there. So, got to pay his dues. Here he is playing, this movie is on Apple Plus right now. In this movie, he's playing a runaway slave who is trying to rejoin his family. I just saw it today. Chill also saw it. So you just have that basic setup there. And I will say with this movie that the look of it is a movie that looks very clean and very, it looks very digital. And it kind of takes away from the grittiness of it, I think, of a story like this, if you were just to shoot it on film. And it also depends on your sensibilities as well, I think, you know what I mean, whether that's a look. I just think the look for, this story or, that you're trying to tell really doesn't work all that much just for how clean it looks. Also, like I said, this is a slave movie. I know a lot of people, are very much tired of slave movies, slave stories, and just seeing that type of brutality. So if you're that type of person, maybe this is also not for you. And this is directed by Antoine Fuqua here, as it says here. So if you've seen other Antoine Fuqua movies, it does have kind of that action Hollywood appeal to it, I think, which kind of also takes you out of it a little bit. Certain scenes in the film that are very just like Hollywood action type scenes that you see, like him.
It turns into. Remember the movie Fled?
Fled.
I don't know if you remember that movie?
No.
Old movie with Lawrence Fishburne. It turns into one of those movies. It goes to a point of the movie where it literally turns into okay, what's the other one? I want every outhouse, rent house, die house, go get about it. The Fugitive turns it parts of the movie turn into that.
Yeah. I mean it just kind of feels like that, you know what I mean? Like kind of that type of feeling that they're going for. They're very, very Hollywoodized with kind of the story here. So that also, I think, kind of takes you out of it. I mean, with, I think, this film as well. And, Antoine Fuqua, who's known for doing, like, the Equalizer films that he did with Denzel Washington. He also did The Magnificent Seven. Those are kind of some of the more recent movies that he's done. And, those movies are very, like, Hollywood kind of action movies. And I think he carries that over into this, which I think he should have maybe scaled that back a bit in terms of directing a story like this.
It feels like sometimes he's a cheat code. Because also when you look at his movies, what's one thing that he has in common? He always got a big-ass actor in his damn movie. Always. Like, almost all of his movies. He has fucking like star-studded cast, like Brooklyn's finest. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to point that out. That he's like a Pusha T of directors for me. Like he's just a fucking cheat code.
Yeah. And with this film, I mean, really the only real big actor in this is Will Smith. I mean, this is really just mainly his vehicle here. I mean, you have kind of some other recognizable names, like you have like Ben Foster, who's in this, who plays a slave owner, the slave owner that Will Smith is running away from, and he's just chasing him throughout the whole film. He's a primary antagonist in this film. Rest kind of some other people in this film are kind of some other kind of lower lists, lower names kind of that you'll see there.
Everybody falls to the wayside.
Yeah. And with this story, I mean, Will Smith, you're probably asking, well, how good is he in this film? I think he does a decent job. I think just the material itself isn't that good. I think it is, very traditional. A lot of like if you've seen maybe one other slave movie, you've probably seen this one before. Him kind of trying to do an accent. Will Smith is not very good at doing accents. Him trying to do
Oh,
his
okay.
best at doing. Now I was trying to figure out like what accent he was really trying to do here. It seemed like it was kind of going all over the place. So I did, you know what I mean? I didn't exactly know there. So because Will Smith in this movie, who plays the character Peter, he's almost like super slave, almost like he's standing like every scene you see him, he's standing up to all the slave owners. Every time there's they're mistreating other slaves. He's fighting crocodiles under the river. He's killing slave man. It's just normally that would be kind of cool depending on the way you do it. You know what I mean? Of seeing a slave who's fighting back, who's revolting. But here it just kind of comes off as it's just almost like comical in a way. I don't know if like what
Yeah.
were some of your thoughts on that?
No, I was gonna piggyback off of that too. Just chime that in because it does feel like that because the imagery that you showed this nigga wrestling the motherfucking crocodile, standing up to slave owners and stuff like that. Like it, it is hard to portray shit like that when you got a motherfucker like Will Smith playing it. It's hard to portray shit like that if even if you had a motherfucking Denzel playing it. Like this is a slave film. Like you're trying to do something, and it only looks like it's just catered to the Hollywood star that helped you produce it.
Mm.
Let's just be honest. So
Yeah.
it's like we just said, everybody else falls to the wayside. Everybody else besides Ben Foster. But Ben Foster is like a plot device for him. And then it's like Ben Foster's there, he does his time, then he gets the fuck out. But it's just like he's just like he's a plot device. It's like I don't know. It's like nothing felt like it really had meaning. It felt like this is just to show you what you just said, what you in the beginning of what you just said, how good Will Smith is in this. And I'm gonna use this word again, cheat code. He is a cheat code. We seen Will Smith cry. We seen Will Smith do his Will Smith thing. This shit is a cheat code. He's gonna make this shit good, or he's gonna convey it good. As far as like the emotion written in the story, like you said, the material, yeah, nah,
Yeah.
none of this shit is emotional. None of this shit is hidden. It's damn near embarrassing to be honest with you.
It just kind of comes off, like a collection of like slave movie kind of tropes and everything like that. I think throughout the entire film, and you see like stuff like everyone else kind of falls by the wayside. I mean, his family, I don't think there's really much there. The slave owners, there isn't really much there. Other slaves that you see, there isn't much there. They feel like caricatures oftentimes, like everybody just around. And it feels like very much
Everybody
like,
just there to help Will Smith.
yeah,
Everybody there to help Will Smith.
it just feels like kind of like Oscar bait. You know what I mean? It feels like the definition of Oscar bait type stuff here with this movie. Which I mean, I see the vehicle you're trying to do, trying to show this character and show him being strong and show him being determined and showing him being powerful. But it just oftentimes it just kind of came off, like I said, it just kind of comes off as just so Hollywoodized. You know what I mean? Just so that kind of feeling to it, with no real grit, no real good emotion behind it. And the way it's just shot, the way it's written, also, doesn't help things. I mean, did you also kind of feel that way too? That it was just, yeah,
I mean, so the way that it's shot and everything, I give it to what other people would say. It is a few few creative shots in here. Like it was one shot where they was pulling Will out, and to show, I guess to show, maybe to show that he was a strong man. I'm not sure, but he just ripped the door. I love that shot. That's a nice shot, especially in that scene. Um, but it's yeah, the material. This material, G, is oh man, it's like I'm sitting in the VOT office on the boys, and we coming up with a strategy plan for Will Smith, bro. And it's like they just happen to have this movie in the tuck. oh, you wrote this slave movie because I don't give a fuck if that happened or whatever. It don't even matter if that shit happened or not. This movie lets you know already. First off, Will Smith must have said, "Let's pick a slave to talk about and make them have a good ending." Not because we not sure if that stuff is true or not. But it was so by the fucking book when we talk about the material, and then like the way it was shot. It was cool, but like I said, it wasn't nothing that made me go crazy because I feel like Fuqua gets lucky with these actors, and he tries to kind of channel more emotion and shit through his actors than filmmaking because he caught a bug with Denzel. You know what I'm saying? So that's like
Right.
that's his itch. Christopher Nolan is gonna give you the shots. He's gonna give you certain frame by frames, but he wants to give you his certain type of acting style. Like it's same with Fuqua. They didn't even give Will Smith that many lines in this movie, and a lot of the imagery in here, it feels a bit embarrassing. Like it's just sad. It's just another sad slave movie. Even when it gets to the war, it's just sad. It's just sad. It just shows you like how much like this shit is just fucking fucked over. And if the, and like I said, as far as like the few shots that were good in that, yeah, that war scene shot, yes. Those war scene shot at the end, yes, a lot of those shots was good because it showed you more than all them just dying. It's just showing you like the bullshit of it's untrained people out there. We're when I watched that shit, I literally felt like I'm watching innocent people die. I had no fucking choice. So cheers to Fuqua for that shot. It conveyed something. Okay? That and the shot with him pulling out the door, it conveyed something. Hey, that's what they supposed to do, convey some shit, conveyed something. But this movie was still should have been played by somebody else because it makes Will Smith look like Will Smith, like how he's supposed to come out the end, the guy that made it, he got his family back. Oh, some shit might happen, but it didn't really happen. Like nothing dire happened. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, because Will Smith is playing a real life guy. He's playing. His name is Peter, a slave that people might have seen before. It's the famous photo of the slave that was whipped, and you see the his horrific back and everything like that. Gordon, if you see that, and then also known as Whip Peter. So if you've seen that image, it's kind of a famous image there. It probably was in history. I've seen it. I saw that image first in a history book. You know what I mean, in school. So so other people have probably had a similar experience with that. And
definitely.
so he is playing a real life guy. Now some of the things obviously it is true that he did serve in the Union Army, so that was true. All this other stuff. I mean, you got to fill in. You know what I mean? Obviously, Hollywood's going to fill in all those other
Hmm.
parts and everything like that, which I don't have a problem with if you're going to go that direction. But you know what I mean, if you're going to embellish a lot of stuff and have this take on it, but you have to have the writing behind it and the performance behind it, that really takes this material and treats it seriously. And I don't think that this is really doing it that much. There's some good shots in here, like you mentioned. Like there's moments where Will Smith is not even talking. I think some of those moments were pretty good, like those quiet moments of Will Smith just kind of because he's trying to hide or trying to run, or even when he's fighting back too. I think there's some good moments there. Like you said, you mentioned the war scene there. You see the battle scene. That's pretty good. There's some good stuff in there, but it I think even some of the battle stuff almost just kind of looks like a Civil War reenactment that you would kind of see. I think I don't think it's all that great, but it's
It,
fine. Uh,
it looks terrible. Like I'm not saying it's like a great shot. I'm just saying from what it showed, like you just seeing people just run into motherfuckers. It really does just like a whole bunch of motherfuckers run into people.
yeah.
But it's like maybe okay. So the first part of that is good because he moves the camera really fast, but then it starts to get to aerial view of the same shit, and it just becomes like overdose of like, look how many bodies is dropping. It's like, God damn, like, and it start like I said, it starts off strong. It gets too much of it, and it's just like, okay, we get it, but like, what's the end game here? It's like even that kind of not came out of nowhere, but it was just like, oh, he's a soldier. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you a runner? It don't matter, motherfucker. You was gonna use him anyway. It don't fucking matter. Like that's another thing that they do. They trying to make these white saviors, like these mother. Can we, uh, can we, touch you? Can we? Do you want to take a pic? Come on, dog. No, no, man. No. I feel like that shit was just. I feel like it was just so tacky of how that was written, and it was still like. And I'm not going against white people. I'm just saying it's the white savior syndrome in these fucking movies, and they come in different forms, and they always come at the end. And this one came at the end, and it was just like, dog, motherfuckers wasn't in there. Do you want to do this? Dog, shut up. They wasn't. They wasn't. They wasn't. Because if that was the fact, then in that war shot, why they ain't show? I didn't see not one white person die. I mean, maybe I missed it. Maybe it was some of that, but it's a pile of niggas that was dying in that motherfucker. Yeah,
I think they. I mean, during the battle scene, I think I saw some. The white people did die. You saw some white people die. Right?
yeah, yeah. So they putting in slow mos.
I
See some
think.
die, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think it was that genuine back then, where they was just like, oh, you know what I'm saying? I don't think it gave a fuck like that. I think it just needed more men, more shields, because look how they was directing them.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, that was part of the reason why. I mean, Lincoln freed the slaves. I mean, that was the main reason why, because you needed, free the slaves and then fight in the war, and then obviously free them, and then to cripple the South there. So yeah, I mean, I think it almost just comes off as exploitative. With this movie, with this subject matter, mainly just done as just to give to a vehicle for Will Smith to maybe try to get another Oscar nomination. Not really just trying to tell the story of this man who lived at a point in time in history, and so for that, I think this is not. I don't think if you want to get your kind of feel of maybe seeing like a slave who's inspiring in rebellion or is trying to make it like this big hero, I guess you could go see Birth of a Nation. I guess you could go see that. If you want to,
Right,
if you want
right.
your
Very
fulfillment of
underrated.
if you want your fulfillment of something like that. I don't think you're gonna get it here. I don't. I think this movie's kind of lazy in the way it's done. So for me, I would just give it a skip it. For me, what about you?
Yeah, for this film, man, if you're a big ass fan of Will Smith and you look at Will Smith like he fucking Denzel, and you be like, oh, well, this is like Will Smith's glory. And go ahead, go fuck with this movie, I guess. But as far as like the rating, man, and don't even do you have a cancel the subscription fee?
We have
Can
a
we put a new one in there?
we have a waste of fucking film. That's our lowest rating. That's waste.
Oh shit. Okay, well, no, I don't want to put it that low. Well, nah, man, don't stream this. No, you know what? I can't say that. I can't say that. I mean, because one thing too, it you know, it does teaches you a piece of history. But I guess by it being so Hollywood, you got to take that with a gram of salt. So yeah, what was the last one again? The waste of fucking money.
Waste of fucking film.
It's a fucking film. What's after that?
We could do stream it, skip it, tune out.
Oh, you can skip it, man, because you're probably already gonna have your Apple Plus, and you're gonna fuck around, fuck with Severance, because that's been getting a lot of play, and there's a few other things on Apple that's way better than this. And as far as like if you're done with slave movies, definitely skip
Yeah,
this shit. It's just not your worth your time.
yeah. This is not the comeback vehicle that maybe Will Smith hoped it would be. I don't think two skip
It
its.
wasn't. This was a passion project for Will Smith, for him to he was being daring with this, which is cool. But next time, don't produce it. Do a
So
better team.
two skip its for Emancipation.